Tonight on Action News, we'll be covering how Mystery became governor, JFC blocks his resignation, terrorism on the rise, and the return of Young Justice. Action News begins now. Shortly after midnight on August 22nd, Lieutenant Governor Mystery 247 sent a letter to the General Assembly stating that he would be assuming the position of acting governor, citing constitutional negligence. Afterwards, Governor That Man _ Stan fired back, stating, as per Article 2, Section 18 of the Constitution, I am transmitting that no such inability exists. Lieutenant Governor Mystery then sent another letter to the General Assembly with the signatures of Secretary of Transportation JFC Blocks and the Secretary of Homeland Security Flashed Doctor. Due to the small cabinet size, this was legally a majority of the cabinet, therefore forcing the General Assembly to decide within 48 hours with a majority vote if the governor was unable to discharge his powers and duties. 36 minutes later, Governor Stan resigned. Later in the afternoon, Founder James sent a message voicing his disappointment in the General Assembly and high-profile members in the community for this. Secretary of Transportation JFC Blocks abruptly resigned from office later in the evening. He said, after his resignation, quote, ADOT started off great, but then people lost interest. The community just isn't interested in a maintenance-based department anymore. I feel like I can do more for my community than lead a department that serves no actual purpose within the state. Soon afterwards, Governor Mystery nominated him for Secretary of Commerce. The Independent Revolutionary Army of Amherst, or IRA, is a name many know in Amherst. Among their terrorist actions like bombings, assassinations, kidnappings, etc., the IRA appeared to have been in a period of inactivity until 2 nights ago. Although inactivity may sound like great news, Channel 9 has learned of a new growing threat to the state. We interviewed the leader of this threat, Mr. Frickflop, who told us the Amherst National Liberation Army, or ANLA, was formed in the wake of the inactivity in the IRA. Unlike the IRA, the ANLA allegedly fights for a breakaway anarchist state called the Free Territory of Amherst, with no government at all. On the same night, law enforcement saw a major offensive with both ANLA and the IRA joining forces for a raid in Buffalo. They took over the governor's mansion, Maple Street, and parts of Squidward Tower. With the aforementioned return of the IRA and the emergence of the ANLA, the vigilante group known as Young Justice has returned to combat the terrorists once again. Young Justice was the primary opposition to the IRA when attacks first began, assisting police and thwarting IRA attacks, but after the IRA's sudden drop in activity, Young Justice left Amherst believing that their time was over. Unfortunately, that was not the case, and they have returned with the IRA and ANLA both in their sights. In a meeting with the Amherst State Police, they stated that they can only foresee Young Justice creating more issues than they can solve, and want to make clear to Young Justice that they would much rather see them stay out of the way rather than intervening in escalating situations. That's all for today. Stay tuned for next time on Action News.